Have you ever been told that sexuality fades with age? That pleasure, intimacy, or even desire simply disappear once you hit a certain number? Well, what if I told you that this belief isn't just wrong, it might actually be harming your health? Picture this. A 74-year-old man walks into his doctor's office. He feels mostly fine, maybe a little more tired than usual, a bit disconnected from his body, not sleeping well. His blood pressure is okay. His cholesterol is under control, but something feels off. After a gentle conversation, the doctor asks a question that catches him completely off guard. When was the last time you experienced physical intimacy with yourself? He blushes, he stutters, he laughs nervously. It's a moment no one prepares you for, because nobody talks about it. Not on the news, not in most books, not even among friends. But here's the truth. Masturbation in older adults isn't just okay. It can be a powerful part of staying mentally sharp, emotionally grounded, and physically healthy. In fact, recent research shows that regular self-pleasure can help reduce stress, improve sleep quality, support circulation, and even strengthen immune function. And emotionally, it can help seniors reconnect with their bodies, relieve feelings of loneliness, and boost self-esteem during a phase of life where many people start to feel invisible. So why don't we talk about it? Why is something so natural, something that brings comfort, connection, and healing, still wrapped in shame? The answer is complicated, but the consequences are not. Too many seniors silently suffer from emotional disconnect, poor sleep, anxiety, or feelings of lost identity, when the answer might just lie in something simple, free, and deeply human. Touching one's own body with compassion, not shame. In this video, we're going to open a long overdue conversation, one that's honest, respectful, and rooted in science. We'll explore what masturbation really means in later life, not as a joke, not as a taboo, but as a legitimate form of self-care. We'll uncover both the benefits and the boundaries. We'll tackle the myths, and most importantly, we'll remind you that you are still deserving of action and pleasure, because pleasure doesn't retire, and your body, no matter its age, still belongs to you. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and stay with me. What you hear today might just change the way you see yourself and help you embrace a version of aging that is more connected, confident, and full of life. Let's begin. Masturbation is normal and beneficial for older adults. There's a quiet moment that many older adults experience but rarely speak about. You're sitting in your favorite chair. Maybe it's by the window, where the light pours in just right. You finished your morning coffee. The house is calm, but inside something feels disconnected. Not painful, not dramatic, just a slow drifting away from your own body, your sense of self, your intimacy with who you once were. And yet, in that silence, there's still a whisper, a memory of closeness, of comfort, of knowing your own skin, not through anyone else's eyes, but your own. And that right there is where the truth begins. Masturbation is not a relic of youth. It's not an embarrassing act. It is, in many cases, a simple, gentle way to reconnect with yourself. We live in a world that celebrates youth. In skin creams, in media, in the silent way conversations fall away when age enters the room. Sexuality, we're told, is for the young, the beautiful, the bold. But here's the thing, desire doesn't vanish with gray hair. It softens, it shifts, it deepens. And the act of touching yourself with care, with mindfulness, with love, can be a path back to that intimacy the world tries to erase. Medical science backs this up. Studies show that regular self-pleasure in later years can help. Improve blood circulation, which is vital for heart health and mobility. Enhance sleep quality, especially for those who struggle with nighttime restlessness. Lower stress hormones, easing the daily tension that often goes unnoticed. Boost immune function, giving your body the support it needs to age well. But beyond the science, there's a deeper truth. Masturbation gives you permission to feel again, to own your body, to say, I'm still here, I still deserve comfort, I still deserve peace. It's not about performance, it's not about proving anything. It's about honoring the body that has carried you through a lifetime. And for those who live alone, who no longer share a bed or a hand to hold, it becomes even more important. Because no matter your relationship status, you are still worthy of intimacy. You see, pleasure doesn't ask for permission. It only asks for presence. So if no one's told you this lately, it's okay to reconnect with yourself. It's okay to explore what brings you peace, what brings you comfort. Even in the quietest hours, you are not alone in this journey, and you are certainly not broken for wanting more than just silence. In fact, you may be closer to healing than you think. 2. Emotional and mental benefits. There are evenings that feel quieter than others. Maybe the phone didn't ring today. Maybe no one stopped by. Maybe the house, once full of voices, music, or the sound of someone else brushing their teeth, now holds only your own breath and the ticking of the clock. And in that silence, loneliness doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just hums beneath the surface, like a soft ache that won't go away. But here's something we rarely say out loud. Touch can help ease that ache, even when it comes from your own hand. For many older adults, masturbation isn't just a physical act. It's an emotional lifeline. It reminds you that you're still alive, still capable of feeling, still connected to something that's real and entirely your own. When the world around you starts to forget that you were once someone's great love, someone's object of affection, you don't have to forget yourself. Self-pleasure becomes a way to affirm your worth, to say, I am still here, I am still worthy of closeness. There's a quiet kind of healing in that. Psychologists have long understood the connection between intimacy and emotional health. Touch, even self-touch, can stimulate the release of oxytocin, often called the love hormone. It helps reduce anxiety. It softens feelings of sadness. It can even boost your mood, similar to the effects of light exercise or laughter. In moments of grief, solitude, or emotional fatigue, masturbation can offer a gentle return to yourself, a sense of safety, control, and comfort in your own body. And here's another truth. Aging can shift the way we see ourselves. The mirror reflects lines we didn't have before. The body feels slower, stiffer, different. Society doesn't exactly rush to celebrate the aging body, and that can weigh on our self-esteem. But through mindful, respectful self-touch, you begin to rewrite that story. You start to see your body not as something fading, but as something still capable of offering you peace and intimacy. You reclaim a part of yourself that the world tried to bury under the word old. You give yourself permission to feel beautiful, not in a youthful, polished way, but in a real lived-in way. That is powerful, that is healing. So no, masturbation isn't just about arousal. It's about emotional affirmation. It's about reconnecting with the parts of you that still long to be seen, touched, and loved. Not by someone else, but by you. And when you begin to treat your own body with tenderness, something shifts. That sadness, it doesn't disappear, but it softens. And in that softening, something beautiful grows. Hope. Breaking the myth. Let's talk about a lie. A quiet, stubborn lie that many people carry for decades without even knowing it's there. It sounds like this: sex is for the young. At your age, those needs should be gone. You don't need intimacy anymore. That ship has sailed. But here's the truth, and I hope you'll hear it deep in your bones. That lie is not only wrong, it's harmful. And worse, it has made millions of older adults feel invisible, ashamed, or broken for simply being human. Because human beings at 20, at 60, at 90, still crave connection, still desire touch, still feel longing. Sexuality is not a switch that turns off when you hit a certain age. It's not a season that ends. It's part of your identity, It's part of your story, and it doesn't disappear just because your hair has turned silver or your joints have stiffened. For decades, the media, advertising, and even the medical world have painted sexuality as something that only belongs to the young and able-bodied. We see romance on TV through the lens of smooth skin and high energy. But where are the stories of love in old age, of quiet, slow-burning intimacy, of a 72-year-old who still feels the warmth of their own touch and says, "Yes, this matters to me"? Let's be clear, you don't stop being sexual when you get older. You stop being seen. And that invisibility, it doesn't come from within. It's handed to you by a society that doesn't know how to honor aging. But you don't have to accept that. This video, this conversation, it's an invitation to reclaim what has always been yours. Your right to pleasure, your right to intimacy, your right to be whole. There is no expiration date on desire, no age limit on self-love, and no reason to feel shame for wanting something that every person deserves. Closeness, connection, and the freedom to express your sensual self. When we start to shift the narrative, when we say out loud that older adults have every right to enjoy their bodies, to explore their needs, to celebrate their sexuality, we begin to heal a wound that has gone ignored for too long. You don't need permission. You don't need to explain yourself. You are not too old to feel. You are not too old to touch. And you are not too old to matter. Because sexuality is not about age. It's about being alive. If this message stirred something in you, a memory, a feeling, or simply a quiet moment of reflection, we invite you to share it. Leave a comment with the word hope if you believe that every stage of life still holds room for connection, healing, and joy. Sometimes even a single word can light the way for someone else who needs it. 4. Warning about the dangers of overdoing it. Like all things in life, even the most nourishing ones, too much of a good thing can slowly become a burden. You might begin with the simple intention of finding comfort, a way to relax, to feel alive, to reconnect with your body. And for a while it works beautifully, but sometimes quietly and without warning, that moment of comfort becomes a habit, then a pattern, then a retreat. And here's where we need to pause, not to judge, not to shame, but to gently ask ourselves, am I using this to feel better or to avoid something deeper? Masturbation, when done mindfully, can be a powerful tool for healing. But when it becomes a frequent escape, used to fill the emptiness of loneliness, to numb emotional pain, or to replace meaningful interaction, it can start to pull us away from the very things that keep us healthy. Physically, overindulgence can lead to fatigue. Our energy, already more limited in older years, becomes depleted. You may notice you feel sluggish afterward or less motivated to go for your daily walk, call a friend, or even cook yourself a good meal. Emotionally, it can create a false sense of fulfillment, like eating candy instead of a warm, nourishing soup. It fills the gap, but only for a moment. The deeper need, connection, conversation, affection, remains unmet. And if you're in a relationship, this is where it becomes even more delicate. Masturbation, if used in isolation and excess, can quietly build a wall between you and your partner. You may find yourself avoiding closeness, skipping the little touches, or feeling less present in shared moments. Intimacy, after all, is not just about the body. It's about attention, vulnerability, shared space. When self-pleasure replaces this instead of complementing it, it can lead to emotional distance, the kind that's harder to name but deeply felt. That's why balance matters. Self-touch should never come at the cost of real connection with your world, your loved ones, or your own well-being. This isn't a warning born from fear. It's a gentle reminder to listen inward, to notice when something that once brought peace now brings a strange restlessness, to ask yourself, am I moving toward life or away from it? Masturbation, like all forms of self-care, thrives when it supports your whole self, not just a single moment of relief. When done in harmony with movement, conversation, laughter, and love, it becomes part of a vibrant, full life. But when done in isolation, without reflection, it can quietly close the door to the very connection you long for. 5. Suggestions for a healthy balance. Let's think of pleasure not as a destination, but as part of a larger journey, the journey of caring for ourselves as we age with dignity, compassion, and intention. Masturbation at its heart isn't something to separate or shame. It's one thread in the woven fabric of whole-person wellness, alongside movement, good food, shared laughter, spiritual rest, and human connection. When held in balance, it can be a beautiful act of self-care. But balance, as we know, is a dance, and every dancer must learn when to move forward, when to rest, and when to return to center. So let's reframe this. Self-pleasure is not the replacement for intimacy. It's a reflection of your relationship with yourself. It's a quiet, private practice that says, I still matter. But it's only one piece of what you need to feel fully alive. Your body, your mind, and your heart all thrive on variety. A warm hand from a friend, a walk beneath the trees, the sound of your grandchild's voice, the soft discipline of deep breathing, the gentle thrill of remembering that you, yes, even now, are still capable of discovering what brings you joy. Masturbation can absolutely be part of that joy. It can help you sleep better, ease physical tension, restore a sense of ownership over a body that the world may try to ignore. But it should never be your only place of comfort, because we are social beings. We are built for connection, even if it's just sharing a smile with a neighbor or calling an old friend once a week. That warmth, that shared presence, is just as important to your health as any vitamin or medication. And your emotional well-being? It blooms best in variety, in solitude and in community, in introspection and in conversation, in loving yourself privately and being loved openly. So here's a gentle guide to keeping that balance. If you notice you're turning to self-pleasure often because you feel empty, try reaching out to someone you trust. If you feel disconnected from your body, pair physical touch with movement, like stretching, walking, or light yoga. If shame still whispers in your ear, replace it with curiosity. Ask, what would kindness feel like here? Because ultimately, this isn't about right or wrong. It's about remembering that every part of you, your physical desire, your emotional longing, your spiritual hunger, all deserve to be fed in ways that uplift, sustain, and honor your whole self. You are not here just to survive. You're here to feel, to thrive, to be whole. They say youth holds the key to passion, to intimacy, desire, and pleasure. But that's only because no one talks about how those things evolve, not disappear, with age. You see, sexuality doesn't retire. It matures, it deepens, it softens around the edges like an old quilt, warm, familiar, full of memory. And just like that quilt, it still brings comfort. The truth is, pleasure doesn't have an expiration date. It simply takes on new meaning. For a younger person, self-pleasure might be driven by curiosity, by hunger, by heat. But for someone who has lived 6 or 7 decades, it can mean something far more powerful: autonomy, self-respect, peace, healing. In a world that rushes to erase the aging body, touching yourself with intention, with gentleness, becomes a quiet act of rebellion, a way to say, I still belong to me. It's not about seeking validation. It's about reclaiming a sacred relationship, the one between you and your body. This isn't just about physical sensation. This is about existence, about feeling real in a world that too often treats you as if you've faded. Because when you experience pleasure, even in solitude, something in your spirit reawakens. You remember that your body, though changed, still holds the power to give, to feel, to soothe. And in those quiet moments, you don't feel forgotten. You feel whole. Masturbation in older adulthood isn't about clinging to the past. It's about fully embracing the present. It's about honoring your needs, not as a leftover of youth, but as an essential part of your now. It's a form of touch that doesn't demand performance, doesn't require approval, doesn't need explanation. Just presence, just breath, just you, still here, still deserving of comfort, still capable of joy. And perhaps that's the most radical thing of all, to find solace in your own hands, to feel tenderness not from someone else, but from within, to know with quiet certainty that you are not broken, not too old, not done. Because the truth is, pleasure becomes even more profound as we age. It's not rushed. It's not about proving anything. It's about being fully in the body you have, in the life you've lived, in the Genin that has carried you through storms and sunrises alike. So if anyone ever told you it's too late to feel intimacy again, they were wrong. You don't age out of joy. You grow into it. As we grow older, many things shift. Our pace, our routines, our bodies, even the way we relate to the world around us. But one thing must never fade: the quiet truth that we still matter, that we are still worthy of care, of comfort, of connection. Masturbation in this light is no longer just about pleasure. It becomes something deeper, a moment of presence, a gesture of love toward the self. It is a way to say, I see you, I still honor you. In a world that too often overlooks the needs of the aging, this simple act can be revolutionary. It helps us reconnect with a body that's changing, not to mourn what's gone, but to appreciate what still remains. It supports emotional health, calms the heart, quiets the mind. And more than anything, it reminds us that intimacy begins with how we treat ourselves. There's no shame in claiming that space, only strength, only tenderness, only the deep wisdom that comes from knowing yourself and honoring what you need. So let this be your reminder. You are not too old for touch, for closeness, or for joy. You are not too old to feel connected to your body and to care for it gently, mindfully, fully. Balance and awareness are the keys. When understood without guilt or fear, self-pleasure can become a positive part of the aging journey, one that brings dignity, well-being, and meaning. Because in the end, aging isn't about letting go of who we were. It's about coming home to who we truly are. If this message resonated with you, or if you believe that aging should be filled with dignity, comfort, and connection, please consider giving this video a like. Share it with someone you care about, someone who might need to hear that they are still worthy of love, pleasure, and peace. And we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment with the word hope if this conversation helped you reflect or reminded you of your own strength. Your voice, your story, your presence, they matter. Thank you for watching and for being part of a community that sees aging not as a fading light, but as a deeper glow.